It can be rightly called as Bhagavad Gita or Bible of chemistry. 3 chemically related elements: Sa, Re, Ga, Ma, Pa, Da, Ni, Sa. That is about Mendeleev's work. We'll see some of the merits again. What is modern periodic law? I'll tell you, this also belongs to 6 and 7. How exactly, I shall explain. Now, what is this penultimate energy level? Hello my dear students, I am Priyanka Rajaram from Vidyashram PU College, Temple of Excellence. Today I shall start with a new chapter, Classification of Elements and Periodicity in Properties. One of the greatest achievements in chemistry is the periodic table of elements. This periodic table of elements have got a lot of information hidden, that is about their physical properties, about their chemical properties, and also what is the trend with which they follow all of this. Okay. Also, it can be rightly called as Bhagavad Gita or Bible of chemistry. The periodic table is outcome of continuous effort of scientists to understand the nature of matter. So, we will be learning how exactly the periodic table has come into existence in this particular chapter, and also about all the information what you can get from the periodic table. So, objectives, that is what is that we are going to study in this chapter. It is genesis of periodic classification. Also, you will be learning about electronic configuration and types of element in S, P, D and F block. Also, periodic trends in properties of the elements. Okay. So, today we learn about genesis of periodic classification. First we have is Dauberniers law of triads. In 1829, Daubernier, a German scientist, put forth the law of triads. What is law of triads? According to the law of triads, 3 chemically related elements were grouped. Triads, that is 3 chemically related elements were grouped. How were they grouped? The atomic weight of the middle element was the mean of atomic weight of the other 2 elements. Now, for example, lithium, sodium and potassium. These 3 are Daubernier's triad. That is, atomic weight of lithium and potassium, if I add up, okay, 7 plus 39, if I add and divide by 2, I am going to get 23. Okay, that is the meaning of the statement here. The atomic weight of the middle element was the mean of atomic weight of the other 2 elements. Also, the properties of the middle element were in between those of the other 2 elements. That is, their property also were in between the other 2 elements, that is lithium and potassium. If you take into consideration, sodium had the other properties also in between lithium and potassium. Okay. So, similarly, we have one more triad which is given here, calcium, strontium and barium. If I add up calcium and barium, okay, 40 plus 137 and divide by 2, I am going to get it as 88. Okay. Similarly, if I add chlorine and iodine atomic weight, that is 35.5 plus 127, and if I divide by 2, I am going to get it as 80. That is for bromine. Okay. So, that is Daubernier's law of triads. He grouped 3 chemically related elements and the atomic weight of the first element and the third element, if you add up and divide by 2, you will get the atomic weight of the middle element. Okay. So this is the first law. Next, what do we have? Newland's law of octaves. In 1865, John Alexander Newland put forth this law. What does it actually tell? The elements were arranged in increasing order of their atomic weight, and every 8th element had similar physical and chemical property as that of first element. What is it? Every 8th element had the similar physical as well as chemical property as that of the first element. It is just like the musical note. Sa, re, ga, ma, pa, da, ni, sa. So the 8th one is again sa, which was the first one. Correct? So it is just like the musical note where the 8th note is similar to the first note. Same way, even the elements were arranged. You can see here, we have lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, and then fluorine. Then we have sodium, which is coming below lithium. Okay, then magnesium, aluminium, silicon, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, again potassium, calcium. So up to calcium only you can arrange it in this way, not after that. Okay, you can see lithium, sodium, potassium, they all have similar chemical and physical properties. Beryllium, magnesium, calcium, they again have similar properties, both physical as well as chemical. Same way, boron and aluminium, carbon and silicon, nitrogen and phosphorus, oxygen and sulfur, fluorine and chlorine. Even now in the periodic table, the modern periodic table, if you look closely, this is how it is placed. They all are in the same group, just like this. Okay, we call this as alkali metals, we call this as alkaline earth metals, and then all of this you can see one below the other like this in the p block elements. Okay, so this is Newland law of octaves. So I hope you have understood. The next breakthrough came from Mendeleev's work. Dmitry Mendeleev, a Russian scientist, proposed Mendeleev's periodic law. What exactly is Mendeleev's periodic law? The properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic weights. Okay, what did he tell? The properties of elements are a periodic function of their atomic weights. That means the properties of all of these elements are the function of atomic weight is what he told. Okay. He also was the first one to arrange the elements in increasing order of their atomic weights, and the horizontal rows were called as periods and the vertical columns were called as groups. Okay, we can see this here. This is the periodic table which was given by Mendeleev. You can observe here first how did he actually group them. These rows are called as periods. Okay, it was called as periods, and the columns were called as groups. You can see groups of elements. Okay, so the 0 group he had placed helium and neon, and in first group he had placed hydrogen, lithium, sodium. Second group he had placed beryllium and magnesium. So what he did actually was he took the elements in the increasing order of their atomic weight. Okay, not atomic number, it is atomic weight. So hydrogen, then helium, lithium, beryllium, boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine. Then he left it empty there. Then again he placed neon here with helium, sodium, magnesium. Like this he went on placing in the increasing order of the atomic weight, and he started grouping the elements with similar physical and chemical properties together. Okay. Also, he could predict some of the elements which were not yet discovered. He had left space for the elements which were not yet discovered. That is, gallium at that time was not discovered, and he named it as Eka aluminium, that is just before, which is placed below aluminium, and this was not yet discovered at all, and he had left this space empty. Similarly, he had left space empty for germanium, that was discovered later and now it has been filled here. Okay, it was named as Eka silicon, that is below silicon there is an element which is not yet discovered, which has similar properties that of silicon. Okay, so he had left space for certain elements as well which were not yet discovered. So he is the first one to actually group these elements according to their similar chemical and physical properties with the increasing order of their atomic weights. Fine. So that is about Mendeleev's work. We'll see some of the merits again. What are the merits? The study of elements was made easy as the elements with similar properties are placed in the same group. Okay, all the elements with similar property fell one below the other and it was grouped together. Okay, that is the first merit. Mendeleev had left some vacant space for yet to be discovered elements. That is, Mendeleev left space for gallium and named it as Eka aluminium, and germanium and named it as Eka silicon. The elements were discovered later and the properties predicted by Mendeleev were found to be correct. Okay, and this is also very important 1 mark question which can be asked for exam. Which were the 2 elements which were discovered later and Mendeleev had left space for them? That is, he had named gallium as Eka aluminium and germanium as Eka silicon, which was discovered later. Okay, so that's about Mendeleev's work and Mendeleev's periodic law. Next, what do we have is modern periodic law and their present form of the periodic table. In 1913, Henry Moseley proved by an experiment that atomic number is the most fundamental property than that of atomic weight. What did he prove? Atomic number is more fundamental property than that of atomic weight. Correct? And modern periodic law was given. What is modern periodic law? The physical and chemical properties of elements are periodic function of their atomic numbers. That is, in the present periodic table what we are using, we can observe that the elements are arranged in the increasing order of their atomic numbers, and then when it is arranged that way, the elements were falling into same groups with similar physical and chemical properties. So it is periodic function of what? Atomic number and not atomic weight. Okay, so that is modern periodic law. A modern version, the so-called long form of the periodic table of element, is the most convenient and widely used. That is, the long form of the periodic table is the one which we are using now. This is the most widely used periodic table of elements called as long form modern periodic table. In this modern periodic table, we have horizontal rows. If you observe, there are 7 horizontal rows which we call them as period. See, 1, 2, 3, 4th, 5th, 6th and 7th. I'll tell you this also belongs to 6 and 7. How exactly I shall explain. Also, we have vertical columns called as groups. If you observe, we have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18 groups. How many? 18 vertical columns called as groups. Okay. Now, what are the other things which you can actually get from this periodic table? You can see every element what is written here. In the left corner, we have the atomic number. Then we have the symbol of the element and the name of the element. Sometimes in some periodic tables, if you see, the name may not be written, but here I have the name also which is written, and just below that we have the atomic weight. Okay, so we have the atomic number, atomic weight, and the symbol of the element in between. Okay, then other things what you get to know, if you just see the colors here. Okay, the first thing, whatever is given in green, okay, this one we call it as alkali metals. These are alkaline earth metals. Then what is given in blue here, we call it as transition metals. Okay, then we have the purple ones which is there. Here you can see, the purple ones, they are basic metals. Okay, then you have the pink ones here, just very few we have, they are metalloids, and the orange ones which is there, they are all non-metals. This column what you have, that's of a little different color. This column or that group we call them as halogens. The last group is given in yellow. It is noble gases which is present, and here you can see there are two rows, which is the first row which is given in grey, we call them as lanthanoids, and the last row we call them as actinoids. Okay, so this is some things which you can get to know from the periodic table. Other than that, what else is there? The entire periodic table is divided into 4 blocks. That is, the first 2 groups we call them as S block elements. Why exactly it's called as S block elements, I shall explain. Then we have group 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18. They are called as P block elements. Okay, and in between whatever is given here in blue, okay, we call them as D block elements, and there are 2 rows which are outside the table here, they are called as F block elements. Now I told you this also is belonging here itself. It is the 6th period and the 7th period. Why? Now just observe, this is 57 atomic number, lanthanum. After lanthanum, from 58 to 71, that is lutetium, is just separated and put as a different row. Okay, and we call them as lanthanoids. So after 71, 72, here it is continuing again. So in between 58 to 71 we have as a different row, it is just placed, which is just removed from there and kept separate. Similarly, after 89, that is actinium, we have thorium which is 90 up to lawrencium which is 103 is again removed from here, that is 90 to 103. Again the 14 elements are separated and placed, which we call them as actinoids. Okay, so that's the reason I told this still belongs to 6th period and 7th period. Okay, only thing for our convenience we have just taken it out and say separately placed 14 plus 14 elements. Okay, now coming to the length of this period, the first period is a very short period. If you see first one, it has got only 2 elements, that is hydrogen and helium. The second period is a short period again. lithium, beryllium, then we have boron, carbon, nitrogen, oxygen, fluorine, neon. That is, you have 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Just 8 elements. Okay. Then again the third period also is having 8 elements. That is, second and third period are short period. First period is a very short period. Coming to fourth and fifth, they are long period with 18 elements. We have full 18 elements. Sixth and seventh period is a very long period because we are adding even this which is kept separate. It is first 3, then you have to add 14 and the rest you have to add. So it is a very long period. Sixth and seventh period are the longest period in the periodic table. So I hope you have understood what are the certain things which you can get to know just by looking into the periodic table. Further, we'll learn it one block after the other. Why is it numbered as first period, second period, third period? Why? What exactly is the significance? I shall explain in the coming slide. Electronic configuration of elements and the periodic table. That is, you all have learned how to write the electronic configuration. We have already covered in the chapter structure of atom. Correct? So, if I give you the atomic number, you will be able to write the electronic configuration. Correct? So, if you observe in the periodic table how the elements are placed, the first period you have only 2 elements which is filling one s orbital. Okay? That's why it is the first period. Second period, you have the first 2 elements, that is in group 1 and group 2, which is filling 2s orbital. Okay? And then you have the other 6 elements which is filling 2p orbital. So in the second period, the second orbital is being filled. 2s and 2p is getting filled up. Okay? Third period, 3s is getting filled up. And here 3p is getting filled up. Okay. Fourth period, 4s, 3d and 4p is getting filled up. Okay. In fifth period, we have 5s, 4d, 5p which is getting filled up. 6s and here you can see 6p, 7s and 7p. Orbital is getting filled up. Now also this block where s orbital is getting filled up, what do we call it as? S block elements. I have already explained. Here p orbital is getting filled up, we call it as p block elements. Exception we have here, that is helium. Okay. Then we have the ones which is filling the d orbital, we call it as d block elements, and the first series we call it as 3d transition series because it is filling the 3d orbital. The second we call it as 4d transition series. This row we call it as 5d transition series and this is 6d transition series because it is filling the respective orbital. Okay. Now because these two are filling the f orbitals, it's called as f block elements. Lanthanoids fill 4f orbital and actinoids fill 5f orbital. So that is how the periodic table is grouped into blocks depending on which orbital the electrons of that respective element is going to. I hope you have understood about this. Now we learn about the properties of every block. There are certain common characteristic properties which you can observe for every block in the periodic table. So first one, S block elements. Okay. S block elements, they fill NS1 to 2. That is, it can be NS1 electronic configuration or it can have NS2 electronic configuration. N can be 1 or it can be 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay. The elements in which the last electron enters the s subshell of their outermost energy level are called as s block elements. I told you the last electron is entering into the s orbital or s subshell. Okay, that's why they are called as s block elements. The elements of the group 1, they are called as alkali metals, that is lithium, sodium, potassium, rubidium, cesium and francium, we call it as alkali metals, and group 2 elements are called as alkaline earth metals, in which you have beryllium, magnesium, calcium, strontium, barium. Okay. What are the characteristics of s block elements? They are soft metals. They are metals but they are soft. Okay. They have low ionization enthalpy. That is, what do you mean by ionization enthalpy? The amount of energy required to remove an electron is ionization enthalpy. In detail we will be learning about ionization enthalpy. Okay. Each one we will learn. What is the definition of ionization enthalpy? What is the trend in the periodic table also we will be learning. But for now, s block elements have very low ionization enthalpy. That means their electron can be removed very easily. Okay. They show oxidation state of +1 and +2. That means lithium or sodium, if you take for example, sodium has the electronic configuration of 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s1. Okay. So here this electron, if it loses, it can easily come to plus state, and I told you the amount of energy required to remove an electron is also less, and it will show which oxidation state, +1 oxidation state. Similarly, group 2 elements can show +2 oxidation state. Okay. Next, metallic character and reactivity increases as we come down the group. As we come down the group, the metallic character is going on increasing as well as the reactivity is also going on increasing. Last one, s block elements are predominantly ionic except lithium and beryllium, which will form covalent compounds. Only lithium and beryllium will form covalent compounds, rest all tend to form ionic compounds. Okay. What is covalent, what is ionic? Again, you will be very clear as we are going further with our syllabus. Okay. Next one, p block elements. That is, we have 13, 14, 15, 16, 17 and 18 group. All these group we call them as p block elements. The elements in which the last electron enters the p subshell of their outermost energy level is called as p block elements. Okay, group 13 to 18 belong to p block. Characteristics, they include both metals as well as non-metals. Metallic character increases as we go down the group. Each group, if you take, the metallic character is going on increasing down the group. Okay. Non-metallic character increases from left to right. That is, if I move in this way, this direction if I move, the non-metallic character is increasing. The last one is actually gases. Okay. If you start from a metal, slowly you are getting metalloid. You can see aluminum is a metal, silicon is a metalloid, phosphorus, sulfur, chlorine, argon, they are gases. They are non-metals, or if I have to tell. Okay. So as we move from left to right, the non-metallic character is going on increasing. Okay. Most of the elements show variable oxidation state. They can show different oxidation state. They can show +1, +2, etc. Elements present in group 18 are called as noble gases. These are called as noble gas. And this group we call it as halogens. Okay, and group 16 is known as chalcogens. We also have one more word, that is the S and P block elements are also called as representative elements. What is it? They are called as representative elements. Okay, so I hope you have understood about p block elements. Next, we have d block elements. Their electronic configuration is n-1, d 1 to 10, ns 1 to 2. The elements in which the last electron enters the d subshell of the penultimate energy level. Now, what is this penultimate energy level? To understand this, I'll just take an example and give you all. For example, I will take manganese with atomic number 25. Manganese. Okay. So, I'll write the electronic configuration 1s2, 2s2, 2p6, 3s2, 3p6, 4s2, 3d5. Okay. Just count and see 10, 12, 18, 20, 25. Now, all of this you don't have to observe, okay, because it's the inside ones. You have to just observe these two. The electron first fills s orbital, 4s orbital, and then it will fill 3d orbital. 4s is the outermost shell, but the electrons are going to 3d. That means it is not going to the fourth shell, which is the last shell. It is going to the third shell, one behind, penultimate, last but one. Okay. Hence, we call them as d block elements. It is filling, even if the fourth shell is the s orbital shell, fourth shell is the last shell, but the d orbitals of what is filling? Penultimate shell is filling. Okay. So, that's the meaning of the word penultimate. This contains the elements from group 3 to 12. They are also called as transition elements. They are called as transition elements. They are all metals with high melting and boiling point. Most of them are metals here. Okay. They form colored complexes. They show variable oxidation state, that they have many oxidation states which they can show. They exhibit paramagnetism, that means they can be attracted towards the magnetic field. Okay. The large number of d block elements such as iron, cobalt, nickel, manganese, platinum, vanadium can act as a catalyst. They are very good catalyst. Okay. So, that is about d block elements. You can see here we have 3d transition series 10 elements, we have 4d transition series, 5d transition series and 6d transition series. It is getting filled up. Okay. That is about d block elements, and more about d and f block elements you will be studying it in your second year. Okay, not in your first year. The last is f block elements. They have this electronic configuration. More about this you will be learning in that particular chapter. The elements in which the last electron enters the n-2 f subshell are called as f block elements. These elements are also called as inner transition series. Why inner transition series? They have been picked from inside the transition series. That's why inner transition series. Okay. They consist of two series of elements placed in the bottom of the periodic table. The first series follows lanthanum and hence it is called as lanthanoids, and that is from cerium to lutetium. Okay. Next one, the elements in the second transition series follows actinium. That's why they are called as actinoids. That is from thorium to lawrencium. You have 14 elements in 4F series and 14 element in 5F series, which is called as lanthanoids and actinoids respectively. So, I hope you have understood about F block elements as well. Next class, we will be learning about nomenclature of the elements with atomic number greater than 100 and periodic trends in the properties. Thank you, my dear children. I hope you have understood. See you next class. Stay curious, stay focused.